This shit is hot as hell. That's really good tea. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Angelisa, and on this channel we read, discuss, and obsess over books together. And today I'm going to be doing my January wrap up and February TBR. I decided to do this in one video this month because I only read 6 books in January, and honestly that is like a pretty good pace for me. Like if I've read 6 books in a month, that means that like I was just reading at the pace that I wanted to read, just casually. I wasn't like mindfully, like consciously being like, okay, I gotta go home and read because I have a video to do or I have to go do it. Like all the books I read this month, I genuinely just like enjoyed and loved. So I'm really excited for this wrap up, even though it's only 6 books. And then I'll quickly go through the 12 books that I want to read in February. So as always, we're gonna start off with storygraph statistics. So as I mentioned, in January, I read 6 books and it totaled 2,877 pages. My average time to finish a book was 5 days. So honestly, again, like I said, like that's pretty good amount of time for me, like just kind of taking under a week to read a book. For moods, they were mostly emotional, followed by adventurous, and then tense, hopeful, and then reflective, mysterious, and funny. All of them were medium pace. Half of them were over 500 pages, and you will know exactly which half that was. And the other half was 300 to 499 pages. I didn't read any nonfiction this month, which isn't off to a great start for my goals, like my reading goals for the year, but I feel like I've knocked off a different goal already, or almost have, so we shall see. For genres, I read 5 fantasies, 3 romance, 1 middle grade, 1 LGBTQ+, and 1 contemporary. And then my average star rating this month was 4.83 stars. So I had 5 5-star reads and 1 4-star read, which is like insane. So let's just get into it. So the first book that I read in January was The Wedding People by Alison Espach. So I did do a reading vlog for this book. It was part of my reading the like Goodreads choice winners for 2024 reading vlog. And if you want my like full thoughts on the book, you can go and watch that video, but I did rate it 5 stars. I really loved this book. I loved just the entire character development that you got from the main character and 2 women kind of confiding in each other. And oh, the book was just such an adventure and so fun. And it kind of reminded me of like the Elin Hilderbrand way of like having all these characters and there's just like secrets and drama and just stuff that like is getting revealed throughout the book. And yeah, I just loved it so much, but it was also just such an insightful read, like such a good read. Next, I read Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. So this is the 3rd book in the series and I did rate it 5 stars. I also watched the movie and I loved the book more actually. The movie was really good as well, but I definitely enjoyed the book more. So as I said, this is the 3rd book and basically Harry is going through this thing where the prisoner from Azkaban, Sirius Black, like got out and everybody thinks that he's coming to kill Harry. So it was a really fun read, and honestly the end of the book, just the entire kind of like twist and let's just say like Dumbledore's suggestion, just because I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't read it, but his suggestion that he made at the end, that just like everything that happened after that was like whoa. Like when I read that and was also watching the movie, I loved it. I loved the entire way that it was done. So yeah, 5 stars for me. Next, I read Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. So the only other TJ Klune book that I had read was The House in the Cerulean Sea, and I loved that book. Rated it I think like 4.5 stars or 4.2, like something high. But I read this one and honestly I loved this so much. Like I cried reading this book. This book is basically about this man who he basically dies right at the beginning of the book, and the Reaper comes to take him, and the Reaper is like this teenage girl, and basically he has time to pass on to the afterlife. And the book takes place during like a few weeks where he's kind of reflecting on his life and also meeting these people in this like, let's say like purgatory situation. And honestly, it was just so freaking lovely. I loved this book, and I don't know, like I love TJ Klune's writing. I will just keep on reading their books because it's so freaking good. All right, next 2 books were actually rereads. So that's what I meant by like going towards one of my actual reading goals, which was that I wanted to reread some of my loved books. Now, these rereads did have a purpose, but I'm so glad that I reread them because I had a freaking blast. The first one was Fourth Wing. Obviously, I reread Fourth Wing and Iron Flame in preparation for Onyx Storm release. So once again, this was a reread. I rated it 5 stars again, and there's so many things that was mentioned in this that I didn't realize the first time, obviously because I didn't know what I knew by the end of Iron Flame. And oh my god, Rebecca, she put so many Easter eggs and like hints and stuff of like what is coming in these books, and I had so many theories going into Onyx Storm because of the reread. So that was also just fun to try to like put together the puzzle that is Fourth Wing. So with that obviously comes Iron Flame. Interestingly, when I first read this book, I think I rated it 4.25 stars or 4.5 stars. Originally I found it a bit slow and like I didn't like it as much as Fourth Wing, but upon reread, I actually ended up rating it 5 stars. I have come to appreciate, again, like all those Easter eggs and just how much work she has put into this series. And honestly, Iron Flame is arguably like has so much going on that builds onto the series that like upon further reflection, I was like, no, honestly, this is like a 5-star series for me. And if people don't agree, that's totally fine. We're allowed to have different opinions on books. But yeah, after I reread it, and the amount of things that I found in it that like hinted towards stuff that happened at the end of Iron Flame, I was just like, this is a masterpiece. So obviously my 6th read of the month was Onyx Storm. Now, interestingly enough, I did rate this 4 stars. Now, I wonder if later on, like I might reread this and rate it higher, just like I did with Iron Flame, but like upon first read, it was a little bit confusing and it felt like a lot of things happened that were just like, what the heck is going on? If you've read the book and you want to know my full thoughts, I did post a spoiler reading vlog that you can go ahead and watch, but there's so much that happens in this, and also for a lot of it feels like nothing is happening because you're learning so much about the world. And I think it's just like, honestly, it kind of reminded me of Akawar, that kind of pacing where the middle part is just a lot of learning. In Rebecca Yarros fashion, we got left on like a sort of cliffhanger again. Not a cliffhanger, like does someone die, does someone not? Well, actually, yeah, it's a cliffhanger and just confused as hell. So yeah, I rated it 4 stars. I wonder if reread will change that, but this was my only 4-star book of the month. So to me, that's pretty good. All right, moving on, we're now gonna discuss my picks for February. So this is honestly like all over the place. I already, when I'm posting this, have finished a book for February. So I'm not gonna put that on my TBR, but I did finish Air of Fire already. I started it like at the end of January, like January 29th, and I ended up finishing it yesterday. So not on my TBR, but part of the February TBR, I guess. But let's just jump right into it. So the first one I have is The Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros. So after reading Onyx Storm, I kind of feel like I want to delve into her other reads, and I do have some of her other books. I know she has like a series, and this book specifically, I've heard amazing things about. A lot of people I know have just like absolutely sobbed and cried at this book and like were ripped apart. And honestly, I'm ready. I am ready. So I feel like if she was able to write so much fantasy that just like ripped my heart apart, she probably does really well in romance. So yeah, we're gonna try this book and see how it goes. Everyone I know has rated it 5 stars though. The next one I have is the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore. So I honestly just wanted like a very cozy read. I know that this is kind of like fall themed with like the cover and stuff, but I just wanted a really cozy read and like an easy read, and I've heard really good things about this. So I wanted to try it, and I don't know, I thought it would just be fun to try. The font on here is like huge. There's like, I feel like 20 freaking words per page. Obviously I'm exaggerating with that, but I don't know. I'm still excited. Like I said, a lot of like this went viral on TikTok. When you first see the cover, I feel like it just feels like a random, like, I don't know. I kind of love the style that they ended up going with because it's totally not like the regular like rom-com-y covers like the next book that's on this list. But I really do love this cover. I love that the book is kind of like small, and I don't know, I'm just excited. I'm excited to see how this goes. So obviously you got a sneak peek. I'm gonna be doing a reading vlog for romance books, so I thought that I would finish this little duo by Tessa Bailey. I read the first one, Secretly Yours, and didn't really love it. I think I rated it 2 stars, but I thought that maybe this one would be better maybe. It's a marriage of convenience. There's a cat in it. I'm getting married this year. This honestly is kind of giving like my life right now vibes, except for like it's not a marriage of convenience. Okay, no, this is not my life. Okay, well no, I did not lose my job and my fiance. This is like the anti my life. So anyway, I thought I would do a reading vlog for it as the first romance book, and we'll see what happens. Next, for another romance, another purple book, I want to read Daydream by Hannah Grace. I've been waiting to read this for some reason. It came out and I'd planned to read it right away, and then I just never got around to it. So now I'm like, this is a perfect opportunity. I think it'll just be a really fun, like, cozy, comfort, fluffy romance. That's what Hannah Grace is known for. And yeah, I'm really excited for this. If you don't know, this is part of the Maple Hills series, which has Icebreaker and Wildfire in it. And then this one is Daydream. I know that this is following like one of our faves. This is following Henry. I didn't realize that like this is what he looked like. And honestly, I also love the illustrations for these books because they are just so like good. Like they're so well done. And like the cardigan, stop. This is like a Swiftie dream. Anyway, that's another book I want to read. Another book about love. I finally want to read a novel love story. Usually when I do a romance reading vlog, I like to have a book with the like love in the title, just because like I feel like it's very on brand. And this one I feel like would be really fun. I think it's about like she is in like a town from her favorite romance book series. So like imagine being in like Chestnut Springs. Like that would just be so cool. Ashley Poston writes like kind of like paranormally like magical romances. Not fantasy, but just like magical realism, I guess is what you would call it. So I'm really excited for this. I've heard really good things about it, and yeah. Another romance this month, I want to celebrate Black Joy for February, and so I'm gonna read 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. I've heard amazing things about this. It's also, spoiler alert if you're in the book club at my work, the book club pick of the month, and I think it's gonna be so fun. It's basically about these like two writers who have like a steamy summer in Brooklyn, and I think it'll just be nice to just read a book about two people in love. And I also just love books about authors. So yeah. Moving on, this is kind of like a sci-fi magical realism. I want to read The Midnight Library. I honestly don't really know what it's about. I just like kind of enjoyed the concept. So the synopsis says, when Nora Seed finds herself in the Midnight Library, she has a chance to make things right. Up until now, her life has been full of misery and regret. She feels she has let everyone down, including herself, but things are about to change. The books in the Midnight Library enable Nora to live as if she had done things differently. With the help of an old friend, she can now undo every one of her regrets as she tries to work out her perfect life. But things aren't always what she imagined they'd be, and soon her choices place the library and herself in extreme danger. Before time runs out, she must answer the ultimate question: what is the best way to live? Like, I feel like it's just such like an interesting concept. Like, I've heard a lot about this, and I think it was written during COVID, so it got really popular, but I don't know. I'm excited. I want to read more like time travel, magical realism, playing with like time, and I feel like this would be a really good one. Next, as I mentioned, I reread Heir of Fire for February already in preparation to go into Queen of Shadows. So I was going to read Queen of Shadows, and I just felt like going into it, I didn't have a good grasp on Heir of Fire, considering I'd read it a year ago. I remembered Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight very well, as well as the Assassin's Blade, but I couldn't remember the details of Heir of Fire, and every time I would read a summary, it just wasn't clicking for me, so I decided to reread it, and now I feel so prepared to go into Queen of Shadow and do a reading vlog for you guys. So I'm really excited because I've just... the ending of Heir of Fire, it's honestly, it's giving Iron Flame, it's giving Onyx Storm, like it's giving like you're sitting there like, oh my god, okay, what just happened? Like, what's going on? So like I said, I'm really excited. That's it, that's all I can say. Next, I had mentioned that I read The Prisoner of Azkaban in January. So in February, I thought I would start Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I actually started audiobooking it last night because I was literally sitting in bed and could not go to sleep, and I just finished a book. So I was like, I was trying to think of what would be maybe something that would like cure my hangover. So I decided to pick up Goblet of Fire, and so far I am liking it. The dragon on the front, or whatever that is really intriguing me. As soon as I picked it up and I saw that, I was like, wait, there's dragons in this? Oh yeah, that looks like a dragon egg. Okay, I'm excited. I'm really excited. So yeah, we're gonna read the 4th Harry Potter book this month, and possibly maybe watch the movie as well. Next I have some thrillers, I guess. So the first one I have is Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. So I've read Gone Girl and Sharp Objects, but not Dark Places yet. Basically it's about this girl who her mother and two sisters were murdered when she was 7, and she testified, like she survived and then testified that her 15-year-old brother was the killer. So Gillian Flynn writes very, very dark thrillers, and while I'm in the mood for a comfy, fluffy thing, I'm also sometimes in the mood for a dark, dark thriller. So I thought that this would be, I don't know, just to finish off her like backlist that I'm working on, it would be a good read for this month. Next I have Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. So this is their new release from 2024, and I'm honestly kind of scared because I haven't heard the best things about it, like compared to their other books, but I'm still excited and want to go into it. Honestly, I don't think I've like read the synopsis, and I don't really want to because I like to go into his books just not knowing what's gonna happen, because I find that they're really good that way. So yeah, I'm gonna try to read this month, and I will definitely let you guys know how it goes. The last book I'm gonna try to read this month, because I failed last year, was The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. So what I mean by like I failed last year is like I wanted to read it in February and I just didn't. It's been in the back of my mind for a long time to actually put it as one of the book choices for the book club this month, and so I decided that like even if it doesn't get chosen, I still want to read it. So I'm gonna try and read it this month and just kind of like soak it in and be present in this book, because I feel like the story that it's telling is an important perspective that everybody who maybe doesn't know what this is like should read. So yeah, and it's also just gotten so many like accolades and awards, which is very deserving, I can imagine. So I just want to see what it's about, and yeah. I also think there's like a show or a movie maybe based off of this. I'm honestly not really sure. All right, well, that was all the books that I'm planning to read in February. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment down below if you have read any of these books or what you read in January and are planning to read in February. I'd love to know. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next video. Bye.